attention 10, 15 years ago won't buy much of anything here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
The Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability.
RTD Live Talk. We're live. Tuesday evening, the 12th day of the month of March, and we are at it one more time. And so, as always, looking forward to find out what's on your mind, and more importantly, let's talk about some of the primary and hot topics in this in the news today, of which there's more news about the Boeing 737 situation. Of course, the video I did earlier about what I could see brewing and what's happening under the scenes with all this emergency talk and evacuating U.S. citizens, from Venezuela. So, a lot of things worthy of talking about. But as always, my name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. And so for anybody that's new to the channel, welcome. Let me know where you're watching from over here in the chat. Or more importantly, there's a number above my head, 313-462-0027. Give me a call. Let me know what's on your mind. I'm curious to find out what that is. And so let me check out and see who's in the chat. Give some shout outs real quick. Welcome whoever we have here. We got Scott. We got Kenneth. Spirit, how you doing? DH Media. Mr. Mike, hello. How you guys doing? Pat. We got Jared Math. What's going on in New York? Right, I was going to say NYC, but in New York. Howdy, how's everybody doing this evening? Thanks for tuning in. And more importantly, want to find out your thoughts on what's happening. What's some hot topics in your area? And so everybody has, I'm sure, in their city or their state, have some pressing issues that may not be getting mainstream coverage as far as on the news sources. But tonight I would like to find out what's going on. So let me know. El Monte from Maryland, how you doing this evening? Clint Eastwood, howdy. Clint Eastwood. It says Alan Van. It says record budget, record debt, record store closes equals fraudulent manipulated market and currency. We are in trouble, Mike. Alan, 100% true, I believe. And so it's unfortunate that all these events aren't really new. And so we've been setting records. I've been covering all this stuff for about almost 5 years now, especially 4 years with Rethinking the Dollar. And so every year there's been a record-setting credit card debt, student loan debt, auto default debt. So we're hitting record highs every year. So I'm kind of used to it. My main question is when does it come to an end, and how will it come to an end? And so that's gonna be the painful part, because we're setting records left and right, and no one seems to talk about those records we're setting. But yet, the numbers keep getting larger, and people are getting more and more underwater and behind on everything that they have, especially if they're financing it. And so yeah, that's what's going on, man. Trouble indeed. Hi, Leah from Austin, Texas here. Love your show, Mike. Leah, appreciate you tuning in. How's things down in Texas? Definitely got much greater weather than here in the Detroit area, that's for sure. Even though today was a little bit, when the sun shines and the rays from the sun is beaming, puts a smile on a boy's face. So I appreciate that. It says, Joe DeKay, Mike, what basketball team did you play for? Joe DeKay. Throughout my years, I played on a variety of teams in several different countries. And so I could throw all types of names out there, but, playing overseas primarily, unless you're familiar with those locations and those teams, you wouldn't really know much about them. But if you have played overseas, you got some teams in mind, throw them at me, and I'll let you know if I either played for them or I played against them. Pass says, just visited Nashville, Tennessee. Construction downtown is massive. All apartments stack and pack, creating Warsaw, Poland all over again. Really? Yeah, that's what I find amazing. And so, like downtown, especially downtown Detroit, there's a lot of refab of old buildings. I think like Dan Gilbert and some conglomerates have really purchased all types of things downtown, and so they're doing a lot of remodeling. It looks like. So we'll see if it pans out, because I'm sure the rent and all that stuff is gonna be high. But let's get to the phone lines and see who's calling, checking in with us. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tim, Colorado.
Tim from Colorado. How you doing tonight, Tim? What's on your mind this evening?
Good. Hey, Tony, if you're out there, hey, buddy, good call last night.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the weird thing, Mike,
Yeah.
is if you look at the tangibles that you see in front of you, like the cost of goods and things like that, and the value of the dollar, and then you look at what's actually happening around you, and you don't necessarily correlate those things because it's real slow. We're a slow-boiling frog. That's how they're going to take over everything,
Yeah.
the control of everything. So, and you know that. But here's the one that's blowing my mind. I mentioned this last time, but the only thing I can see in front of my face, because I'm living in a fairly well-to-do area that manufacturing is still, not manufacturing, but construction is still going on, whether it's debt-based or not,
Yeah.
is they're spraying the hell out of the skies.
Really?
Are you seeing that out there?
Surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, in Detroit, and I haven't seen the chemtrails at all. Like, I want to say maybe in the summertime last year, I noticed some lines in the air type of thing, but I don't know if that was from actually the exhaust from the planes or what. But as far as like the sky's been layered with chemtrail type stuff, I haven't seen that here, and I'm glad. So obviously, the chemtrails are probably more so over cities where there's a large agricultural type of base or something like that, but yet over just the city of Detroit, I haven't noticed it, but I'll definitely keep an eye out on it this spring and summer. So,
yeah, you got to really watch for it. And it's also called, chemtrails is like the conspiracy theorist term.
Yeah.
It's nanoparticulate. It's geoengineering. We're terraforming the planet.
Yeah.
But I'm in Colorado, and we have some super high winds coming off our mountains here.
Yeah.
And I'm at 5,500 feet. And I'm an airplane pilot and mechanic, and I know about, condensation coming off aircraft. There is no exhaust coming off an aircraft, okay?
Well, good point.
So,
way to correct
I
you.
know what I'm looking at, and this stuff disperses through the sky.
Yeah.
And because of my high winds, and we get over 300 years of sunshine out here, 300 days of sunshine, it's really obvious.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen it, I hadn't paid attention until 2 months ago or so.
Yeah.
And now it's really obvious. But, I'm just saying that, you got the subtle side of what's going on with the economy and the worth of a fiat currency. And then you got what's right in front of you with what's in your water, your food, and your air.
Yeah.
It's really scary, dude.
Yeah, man. I agree 100%, man. That's interesting, man. Like the chemtrails or the whatever names they want to give out there. Geoengineering. Like that would not end well, put it like that. There's no way that stuff would end well for us breathing it in, or for the atmosphere of the earth, whatever the intentions are of heating and cooling or whatever they are trying to do. It's man's intervention with God's working, man, and we're going to end up hurting ourselves more than helping us. So, but Tim, as always, man, I appreciate you calling in, boss man.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Keep up the good work, okay, Mike?
Thanks. Have a good one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Good stuff as always. Appreciate you calling in, Tim. As always, feel free to call in. Let me know what's on your mind. And so the chemtrails, the geoengineering type of ordeal, those are all real issues that aren't really being talked about on the mainstream, of course. So you have alternative media people to really cover that. But one day we will realize, what it's all about. And we will, more importantly, probably feel the side effects of all this altering of our atmosphere for whatever purpose that it's intended for. So definitely something to be aware of. Jimmy Dobbs. It says, I can't get the Carrot Bar notes currency. Jimmy, what's going on? Why you can't get the notes? Talk to me. It says, that was an old one. It says, what? Check out Celsius for Bitcoin passive income. Yeah, and so whenever I see things about passive income with Bitcoin, I never really dive into it. I don't know much about it, but I'm curious as to how people are actually earning or or, you know, because it's not, you can't stake your Bitcoin. So I always question about things like that when you talk about earned passive income. And so if your Bitcoin have to leave your possession and go somewhere else, I always question that stuff. But I don't know anything about it. I never looked into it. But I imagine that, you know, some people might work, or who knows. But it says, just visited KY Lake Recreation Area. 90% of businesses have been closed since shortly after 2009. So very sad. Really. And so that's probably a ghost town. And so what I was hinting at before was, it's surprising that there's still a lot of development, a lot of either little small, what they call like the storefront type ordeals. There's a lot of them happening inside Detroit and more so outside Detroit. They take these old parking lots where they have like actual, what do you call it? Like not malls, but shopping centers. Yeah, the shopping centers with the huge parking lots. And because those primary old school retail stores aren't really doing much business, there's a lot of empty space in the parking lot. So a lot of people are using those parking lots to put up little kiosk type buildings. And so they're popping up everywhere. And there's all types of entrepreneurs coming out with restaurants and all types of things that I actually went into a couple places, like some barbecue places and some, you know, small little places. And the prices are so high. I'm wondering, like, I don't think that's a good business model, because you're coming into a niche that's real fine, and man, you're opening a business in something that is not needed necessarily, and you're charging high prices. So I'm thinking like, you're not going to be in business another year, man, because I know I'm not going to overpay for something that I can get somewhere else cheaper. So yeah, that's just me. Chemtrails look like I haven't seen it either. It says, hey Mike, shout out from Los Angeles. Thomas, how you doing, my friend? What area of how's the LA area? What's up with those? I hear a lot about was it the tent cities or the tent areas where they have tents set up everywhere? I'll be curious to find out how that's impacting neighborhoods, whether it's in the heart of the city or on the suburban areas or what. Let me know what's going on with that. BitConnect. Yeah, we already know what happened with that. BitConnect. Yeah. Kentucky Lake is one of the largest man-made lakes on the planet. Really? So I wonder, so is the lake, since it's man-made, is it in good shape, or is it almost dry, or do they take care of that? Or not too familiar with the man-made lakes, just because we got the Great Lakes surrounding us. And I'm not sure about the condition of those bodies of water these days. That video there's you used against us. I need the address. I do nothing on any devices. They develop. Huh? Jimmy says, I need the address. I do nothing on any devices. Yeah. Well, Jimmy, do me a favor. Shoot me an email and let me know what your question is, and I'll see if I can help you out. Spirit King says, in the wild history of civilization, only on average humans need $1 per day to survive. That trend is only broken in 1900. Think about it. You need something like $100 a day today. Spirit King, man, that's interesting there. That is interesting there. So I'm assuming that $100 it will be needed, however that was calculated, would be living in the Western world, where, you know, $100 a day. I wonder, like, I mean, also depends on your style, your cost of living and things of that nature. But it sounds like a fairly decent amount to feed yourself, clothe yourself, and, you know, especially if you spend $100 a day, that's $3,000 a month. I'm sure you can have a nice residence. And so what else? El Monte said, in LA, tents are everywhere. I was there 2 weeks ago. It's insane. Really. Now, here's the thing for my people out in California or in areas where homelessness is probably sky high or becoming a problem, as far as just the actual scenery of your city or the impact it's having on small businesses or whatnot. Where does all that go? And how come that's not a major topic talked about in our own country? And so this hints on what's happening down below the border in Venezuela, as well as all of those people. And that's another thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't heard anything about those caravans coming towards the border. And so is that still going on, or did they go back home, or what? Anybody got any updates on that? Because, you know, it was mainstream when it was hot, but as you see, the mainstream news switched the narrative, and now they're talking about Juan Guaido and all that stuff. So I haven't heard much about those caravan of people coming up from below the equator, or below the border, rather. But here's the thing. And so what about the people who are living in tents all across this country? Because I imagine LA is not the only area that's probably booming with people that's living in tents and people living in their cars. That looks like a crisis to me, don't you think? Anybody out there agree with me or not? Like, that could be considered a humanitarian crisis within our own country. Because I'd imagine if you run some statistics, you'll find out that number of people either misplaced or homeless or whatever probably touches, maybe 1 million, maybe, or 2 million people across the country. And so what classifies as a humanitarian crisis? Because I'm wondering, definitely if Venezuela's a bad situation, they got lights out and all the stuff they're telling us, but we got issues here at home. So that's just something that we really won't hear much about that. It's way more. So Spirit Kid says 500 or 500, 50 or 500 is way more than $1. Yeah, man, that was the good old days, man, when the cost of living was steady. There was no central banking inflating the currency, as well as government indebtedness. Government couldn't spend what they did not have in their vaults in the form of metals. Those days are long gone, Spirit, and we won't see them ever again, in my opinion. So what we can expect is more deficits, death, and war, unfortunately. That's not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. Yeah. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mark. This is Q from Chicago. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Q from Chicago. What's on your mind this evening, my friend?
Hey, man. I want to know what you think about the long-lasting blackouts that's going on in Venezuela.
Yeah, the long-lasting. Well, first of all, the blackout, I mean, I've heard about them having blackouts in the past, short, 24-hour, a couple hours, real short stints of blackouts. But this one here is a man-made Western Hemisphere powers that be attack pretty much on that country, I believe. And so it's not a coincidence that they happen to have a blackout that is a prolonged blackout. And then I saw a video, I think it was today or yesterday, that some other power plant or power station in the heart of Caracas caught on fire all of a sudden. And so I think there's a deliberate attack against anything that presents stability there. And so, of course, the news that we receive here shows that they're starving there. They paint this real dark picture. But yet, when you watch alternative media or foreign news channels on people who are actually there on the streets, it's bad, but it's not as bad as they tell us here. So I think the goal is to make Maduro seem like much as a dictator or just a bad human being in general. That will lead to this national emergency, which Guaido is either going to do or has done. That will then allow him to activate that Article 187, as I mentioned, to declare he needs help. And then if he cries out, and as of now, 50 countries around this planet acknowledge him as a legitimate president, it's good to say that one out of those 50 gonna come, and it's probably gonna be us because of our closeness and our own interest in what they have there. So it's all part of the move to remove Maduro. So I'm not surprised, and I'm sure they're gonna have a couple more false flag type of events coming. What do you think?
I think you're actually right. Just to reinforce what you said, have you ever heard of something called the shroom virus?
The who virus?
Shroom virus. I
have not. No, educate me on that one.
So back, I want to say in 2013, 2014, Saudi Arabia, which is Saudi Arabia's major, their oil industry, was attacked by this virus called the shroom virus. And basically, what this virus did, it went through and destroyed a bunch of servers, a bunch of petroleum. Basically, it went through and did a lot of devastation to their petroleum industry. Comparable to the Stuxnet. Have you ever heard of the Stuxnet virus?
Stuxnet virus. No, I have not. Go ahead and put me on game on that one.
So the Stuxnet virus was a virus that actually attacked the Iranian nuclear industry and basically went through and destroyed a bunch of centrifuges there in Iran at their Fordow nuclear facility there. And so the reason why I bring these two viruses up is because there's a very specific technology that is targeted, and the specific technology is SCADA, SCADA networks. Siemens developed these SCADA networks. The SCADA networks are the open networks, open protocol. So anybody who has knowledge of the SCADA network and how it works can basically end up infiltrating it and taking control of it, as long as you know how the protocol works, as long as you know how to communicate back and forth. The computers are communicating. You can do anything like change the light signals. You can change the signals of a train. You can infiltrate a plane. You can do basically anything.
So that's interesting, my friend. So let me ask you a question. How do you find out about that particular those viruses there? Like, how does that come across your studies? Like, because that's pretty in-depth and deep knowledge there, my friend, if it all lines up the way you're presenting it to me. And so that's pretty some deep stuff there. So do you know how to activate those viruses?
Let's just say that I have a very interesting background.
Okay, I'll leave it at that, because right there, if all that lines up, that's some pretty deep stuff, my friend. You probably know a little bit more than probably good for you. It's probably beneficial for your own good, but you're definitely well informed, man. I appreciate you shining light on that stuff. Definitely, yeah. That's well above my pay grade. I'm not even talking about viruses and stuff like that. So, but it's good to know, man. I appreciate you for sharing that.
No worries, man. Take it easy, Mike.
All right, thanks. Appreciate you.
Right, later.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's deep. That is some deep stuff there. Yeah, if all that lines up to be what, as he's presenting it, that's something to be a concern, and that definitely plays into what's happening with these Boeing 737s. If they can infiltrate and penetrate computer systems and all types of stuff, through back doors, of course, then that's yeah. So Faye said Israel invented the Stuxnet virus. I've watched some videos and stuff like that, but I try to stay away from stuff that's technical and technology based. I focus on the monetary stuff and geopolitical stuff. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Casey. I'm calling from the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
You say?
Called you once before.
Okay. You say Casey?
Yeah.
How you doing, Casey? What's on your mind this evening, boss?
China's on my mind.
China. Go ahead.
I'm reading about China. Do you think they're going to devalue the currency here in the next few weeks?
I'm not familiar with what's coming up in a few weeks, but I know, as I mentioned the other day, that all fiat currencies are basically on a race to the bottom. So in order to improve trade and that whole currency war aspect, everyone's devaluing. Now it's a matter of how fast and how fast for the most part, and will it be tolerated? Because of course the U.S. is going to say that they're deliberately devaluing their currency on purpose, and they're terrorists. And so yeah. So with that being the case, I think that anything is possible. What's coming up? What are you keeping your eye on?
They've lowered taxes. Their housing market is one of their biggest real estate corporations wants to sell all their homes for 10%, and it just seems like not in the next few weeks, but it kind of seems like 08 repeating itself in a way.
Yeah, I did. I came across an article or something or another talking about China, the central bank there approving something like 300 or something billion or some large number to bail out or to provide liquidity for their banking sector or something like that. I didn't get into it, but the idea that their government and their central bank works hand in hand. They're trying to keep things afloat over there. And that's one thing that we don't really hear much about, the internal workings of how bad things are there. But from the little bit that does come out, I imagine that with I think of $30 trillion in debt that they created over the last decade plus, yeah, that could be a major issue that will not remain a contained event inside that country. So definitely we could feel the side effects from that, I believe. So yeah. Who knows, man? That's some dangerous stuff.
Another thing is, what do you see going on in Argentina? How long do you think their currency finally becomes like Venezuela?
Good
because
point.
I know they're next. They're pretty much either them or Turkey. I think Turkey just entered a recession, so I think either the lira or the peso are just gonna go through.
I'll pull up an article right now, but I was actually thumbing through an article from Bloomberg, and it's talking about where Argentina defends it. It says Argentina defends the world's worst currency. So I was reading through this, and it looks like they created some short-term bonds to withdraw liquidity out of the system. So they're going to have a shortage of cash eventually. And so what I see happening is that they're going to have some debt issues, of course, not being able to pay back. They're going to have the population is going to be very disgruntled because there's strikes. There's teacher strike right now happening on the streets where teachers are no longer like in classrooms from what I've gathered on the news. So they're going to have some issues. And as I mentioned, like I think it was last year, that the Argentine peso by the end of 2019 or definitely 2020 will definitely reach 75-1 type ratio, which will be the equivalent of hyperinflation for us. So definitely the peso, it's an isolated currency. Who needs it? Who wants it? Apart from the citizens there. So it's in trouble, I believe. So what the actual numbers will be exchange ratio wise, it'll be favorable for us if we were going there as tourists, but not favorable for those saving pesos in their bank account. And speaking of which, most people don't know, in order to keep people to keep the confidence in the people, when you deposit your money in Argentina, the savings rate they give you is like 25% or something like that on saving there. So that's a very high number, but yet you're getting interest in a currency that's already losing purchasing power. So it's like just stacking up more paper on top of each other, still not be able to purchase much, but they're luring people with the high interest rates there and savings and checking accounts there. So that's something that's different. So most people would jump at that type of rate, but not in a currency that's not worth anything. What are your thoughts on it? Where do you think it's going?
And I know the IMF bailed them out, and I know all they did was buy them time, and I honestly thought it was going to, eat crap before the end of the year in 2018. That's what I thought, because it's already hyperinflated twice.
Yeah.
And I think 88 had the hyperinflated, and then also in 2001 it hyperinflated.
Yeah.
So I honestly thought it was just going to, just go down the drain.
Yeah.
And also, what I was wondering, the Fed, last time they rate hiked was in December 2018, and they wanted to do it again in March, and then all of a sudden, 2 months ago, Powell backed away from it. What do you think he's signaling? Do you think he realizes he's already gone too far? What do you say? Like the fix is in, and he knows it's going to be a matter of time. Because I was your video. I was watching how 84% of the time after the Fed raises rates, there's some sort of economic crash, or some sort of
some type of tremor in the carbon. Yeah.
How long typically? What's the average? Was it 6 months after they raise rates that the market crashes, or what's the average timeline between the Fed stop raising rates and the actual?
Yeah, good question. Good question. I don't know exactly according to prior trends, but my thought on the whole interest rate aspect is that after seeing what happened with the equities market in December, I'd imagine whether it was scared investors or just the safe money basically bailing out. I know that they always claim to be data dependent, but yet I'm not sure what type of data they can really rely upon when all their statistics are already maneuvered and fake anyway. So clearly they probably basically go according to the pulse of the economy globally as well as domestically. And so long as they continue to play that narrative of the economy is great, like I saw something today, our economy's booming is great. And I'm thinking like, not okay, well, depending on what economy you're in, but I think they're basically trying to just keep the lifeline of their central banking policy model going as long as they can without anything crashing. Because if they raise it too high, then debt becomes very, hard to pay back. And if they keep it where it's at, more people are going to take out these. It's going to be extended with these rates of just people borrowing at abnormally low costs. So anyway it go, whether they raise or stay the same, it's going to be a problem, because the only thing that our government can do is borrow debt anyway. And so the question is, who's going to be buying that debt? So the Federal Reserve is going to have to get into the debt buying business directly, or just directly monetizing down the line, borrowing this whole government proposal and this debt and stuff. And so yeah, it's all a mess, man. And whether they go up or go down or stay the same, it's not going to end well anyway. So I don't pay attention to the details of the interest rates, just because at the end of the day, all they're going to do is print more notes or create more digits in a computer ledger somewhere. So anyway go, you're going to have less purchasing power in what you're holding if you're holding solely notes, so in my opinion. So and
just on the top of your head, what cryptocurrency would you, if you were going to purchase one, which one would be the one you would pick?
Good question there. And so as always, I think, of course, my favorite is, of course, the number one honcho, Bitcoin. And so because it's the first, it will, one day be surpassed by something greater, of course. But in the meantime, between now and the time there's a reset or restructuring of our monetary system, I think Bitcoin as it is today, the primary Bitcoin, will be a recipient of a lot of the liquidity as people look to run from old, dying, archaic financial instruments, bonds, treasuries, currencies. And so Bitcoin will be Bitcoin, gold, and silver, of course, will be the recipients of all that scared money running, looking for cover. And so Bitcoin definitely is something, as somebody always mentions, I believe just having 0.1 or 0.01% will do you well in the years ahead because of how high the price will go nominally. Now it's just a matter of not whether you want to get rid of it for $1 or not, which you probably won't. But I believe, Bitcoin, the first coin, is the best coin as of now. But there's a lot of other good projects I like as well. So, but Bitcoin is my favorite, in my opinion.
I was just thinking the other day, just the spiritual nature of whenever this stuff happens. You see, like, all these people just going crazy whenever, like, you see a lot of these college kids that are hypersensitive, and you see a lot of just people just being so sensitive and so mentally weak.
Yeah.
How do you think they're going to react whenever all this stuff happens? And I was thinking, they say good times, or they say strong men create. I'm trying to think of the riddle. It says hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times, and the cycle repeats itself. Do you really see like the millennials? Do you see them? Do you think this would be like something where they just they become mentally strong, or do you think this is going to be just like a giant coin of the population in a way?
That's a good question and a good way of looking at it. I don't know. I'd imagine that one disadvantage we all have in this day and age is that because technology has become so prominent in our lives, we're all technically smart in regards to technology and gadgets, but as far as agriculture, using our hands and all the hard hand-laid skill, but most of us are pretty much oblivious to what it takes to survive outside of having something smart in front of us. So I think we're going to struggle initially. It's going to be a shock, but I think mankind is very creative and capable of innovating in the midst of troubles, because I think that's one of our gifts. God gave us all creativity and gifts to use. So I think from the struggle, we're going to have some great inventions and some great businesses, opportunities that will come about based upon there still being needs out there, and there will be smart individuals that will meet those needs. So majority of people will struggle, but there's going to be some great technology and opportunities coming from it. I just hope that you and I and everyone watching are on the upside of all this, being that we're aware and semi-prepared in whatever ways we can. So it's going to be a lot of lives lost, unfortunately, but yet a lot of great stuff to come out from it from the end, because it's just something that always happened before. It's just always been monetary resets. It's just at this current point, everything is globally connected, which is going to make it a global type of event that we've never seen before, in my opinion. So. But hey, man, I appreciate you for all the great questions as always. You do a good job in keeping me on my toes, man. I appreciate you.
I think so.
Yeah, have a good night. Yeah, man, great thoughts, great back and forth. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Let me get back to the chat a little bit. And as always, feel free to let me know what's on your mind in the chat, or give me a call, 313-462-0027. The phone line is for you guys to call in and let your voice be heard. If you have anything you study, like the gentleman called in earlier, talking in regards to technical devices and viruses and stuff, like if you guys do your homework and your research, feel free to call in and educate me, because there's more stuff out here that I can't keep my eyes on, but, we put it all together. We can educate each other for real. Educate each other for real. Let me see here. It says for the video, prepare for Now Report 2019. My pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate you. So we got a couple people out here putting out their favorite coins, and so I'll read through them a little bit. It says, what else here? It says we got BTC and LTC, Digibyte, our currency. LTC, Zcash, Zen, XRM, Monero. We got Doge. I've never been a Doge fan, even though, yeah, Doge. I wonder, like, what's the Doge coin, the doggy coin, whatever it's called. That would start off as a joke, but it's actually. I remember doing a market cap, it was like 3 or 4 cents from, yeah, it was something else. It says, Marquise, I'm sorry, $750 billion defense spending. That is insane. 60% of the budget is defense. Yeah, man. And so the problem with that is not only is it at a time where we're supposed to be bringing troops home from Syria, supposedly, and everywhere else, and dialing back the war drums, but yet by ramping up this type of spending bill, and it has a lot to do with what just happened as of January when Russia supposedly backed out of the nuclear agreement, and we did too, and all that stuff. So it's a race now to get to hypersonic. What is it? I think I read an article where Putin mentioned that they have Mach 7 or Mach 9 type hypersonic missiles. Like, I don't think the U.S. has that type of technology. So that 16% increase is going towards hypersonic Mach 10 type technology if we are capable of creating that in time, you know, God forbid, to be used. But Tony, how you doing, my friend? And so as always, the number 313-462-0027. Give me a call on that number. I see someone try to call the old number. So that number is out of commission. It says Digibyte is platinum, Bitcoin is silver. So Digibyte is platinum, Bitcoin is Litecoin is silver. So we got Lonnie. So Lonnie's a real Digibyte person. Margie says, get your weight up. Definitely. That is something definitely. You never want to not take advantage of the opportunity to get your weight up at such cheap, unbelievably cheap in nominal fiat currency term prices. Because I would imagine, and a good example would be of how cheap it is, that I'll probably do a video on it later, but all the countries that are having internal problems with their domestic currencies, all those currencies, when it's measured in terms of metals, all the currencies have decreased in value as the metal prices have gone up in a variety of countries. Australia, Turkey, Egypt, all those countries. I would imagine those citizens would have wished that they could have gotten rid of some of those notes and digits that they had in their savings and investments and got into metals a little bit sooner, back when they was able to purchase a little bit more. But we'll see. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Russell from Missouri.
Russell from Missouri. How you doing this evening? What's on your mind?
I'm doing great, sir. I was just listening to that last conversation.
Yeah.
And thought about some of the things that, you know, we believe are going to be happening and stuff like that. I thought back to my childhood and thought back to a friend that I've got. And we all used to have gardens. And I remember hating the fact that I had to weed the gardens and all that stuff that my mom made me do and stuff like that, chores we had to do. But then I have a friend who also, she does on a yearly basis, she does a water garden, you know, the hydro, whatever you call that, where you put it in water and it grows. So those are things that people are doing now that those will be skills that we will remember that we have those skills. Hopefully we're in our food supplies and our, you know, part of our weight, getting our weight up is, you know, food supply, water supply, and things like that. But also, you know, we might want to think about possibly, you know, putting some seeds away, you know, and rotate those out every now and then. But that way we've got the tools that we need, that if we have to, we can, you know, grow our own food. We won't be able to grow it all, no. But if we know our neighbors and things like that, we can always say, hey, I got some extra, you know, some extra zucchini, and then, well, I've got some extra Swiss chard or whatever, you know. So we can, the things like that will come in handy. So it's not only do we want to count on ourselves, but know your neighbors, know your, you know, have friends, like-minded people that you can share skills with.
Yeah, I agree.
And that will go a long way.
Yeah, I agree 100%, my friend. Community, and I think it's Chris Martinson, who has a book, Peak Prosperity, and he talks about he gives us some good actionable steps on what people can actually consider to be completely prepared, because he's out in the countryside, so he has the energy, he has the food, he has the community, he has the currency, so he has all these things that he's, you know, determined to be ideal for crisis type events. And so, of which one of them was community, knowing your neighbors or whatnot, and having opportunities to be able to communicate and utilize each other's skills to sustain your community. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. And so, like, yeah, living in the city is not as easy just because you got to be able to trust who you're dealing with. And so the biggest thing boils down to just trust. Can you trust, can you have a good community of people you trust that won't rob you at the end of the day? When if things get bad. So that would be something I would be concerned about.
Right. Well, here's another thing to think about. In the city, you can even do little things to prepare yourself. Like, okay, so you don't have a place where you can put down 5 rows of corn and zucchini and Swiss chard and different things like that. But you can grow a couple. Prepare a couple milk cartons and put some tomato plants in there and grow tomatoes. Yeah. Or just something small like that. It doesn't have to be huge, but you can do something to just kind of like exercise those green thumbs and get used to growing things and trying to grow something that you might be able to harvest the seeds out of it and try to grow those and see if you can continue something. Just learn that process. And that's all stuff to do that you can do even if you live in the city, even if you live in New York City and live in a high-rise. Yeah. You can do that, just little things. It's not necessarily going to, you're going to be able to get a whole bunch of canning done by that, but it will give you the skills and the confidence that when that does happen, that you have that skill.
Yeah. I agree, man. I agree.
And so that's a big thing. And another thing is, I hear a lot of preppers talking about, guns and bullets and stuff like that. Sometimes that might not even be the route to go, because if you end up having to get into a shooting match, you might find yourself in jail. Or
dead. Or you get hit by one of the bullets and you have a wound that you can't get taken care of, because if hospitals and all that stuff is awry, do you got the medical kit? Can you take a bullet out yourself? Like, all that medical care that would be needed for a gunfight would be an issue as well. So, but yet you got to defend your own. So I understand you got to defend your own. If not, somebody will take it from you. So, yeah. Right. And that's
let's say that you're in a situation where there is no law, nothing like that. So if you're in a gunfight, strongest wins. That's the law. Well, okay. Let's say that you do win that fight. Okay, now you've got 5 or 6 dead bodies around your house. Guess what? That's going to tell the next gang, okay, there must be something there because somebody fought over whatever it was. Or it's also going to bring out other scavengers, like, the wild scavengers, like, depending where you're at, coyotes at least. Yeah. But so your best thing to do is, if you have the ability to do so. I don't personally, but hopefully I would be able to drive out to a place like that, to get out in the middle of nowhere where you're not even close to any highways or anything. Yeah. Try to get out. If you know what hits the fan, I mean, in a big way, it's best to just GTFO. You know what I mean? And go to a place where nobody is.
Yeah, that'd be ideal. That'd be ideal. But, like, how you see in all those movies where all of a sudden, like for example, like New York or all the major metropolitan areas, when something's coming, the freeways are blocked up, everybody's bumper to bumper, and then the water will come or whatever it is that's coming would already and people get out on the freeway and start running. So you got to be ahead of the trend, that's for sure, if you plan on trying to get out of your area, especially if you're in a major metropolitan area. So. Yeah, that's all. That's some very deep thought there. We can go down a long rabbit trail of what could be and how to protect ourselves. But I appreciate your calling in, my friend. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Are you still doing the silver giveaway thing?
I have not done any giveaways lately, but I'm working on some things behind the scenes to give away, to get people involved and to get people sharing. So I got about 2 projects I'm working on that will be involving you to be able to get your weight up a little bit. I'll contribute to your weight, to your stash a little bit. So I'm working on that now. So it's coming.
Yep, I try to do it myself on a weekly basis. Doesn't always happen, but I try a little bit. So,
hey, but getting something done is better than nothing. So I appreciate you, man.
Yep. Keep up the good work, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Doing something is better than nothing. That's what it boils down to, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate that call there. I've missed a lot in the chat. And as always, if I don't get to your questions or your thoughts, forgive me. But yet, as always, you know, calls come first because I want to hear people's voice. I want to actually have some back and forth via audio with people. And what I'm also working on, and it's something I was to throw that out there right now. What I would like to do this spring, because this spring I'm hitting the streets hard this spring and summer. I'm planning on doing a live segment from the streets where I'm going to actually talk to people and do some like in the city Detroit type updates and stuff. So I'm going to do a lot of that. But I want to find out, are there any current people in the YouTubers out there watching right now that have interest in this subject matter there? Because I would like to look at adding somebody to the team, or creating a team rather, of individuals that might have like interest and love putting their ears to the ground and just being attentive to things out there and might want to share it. And so I would like to find out. I got to figure out what the process might be like. But definitely I want to connect with people, and definitely if you have a YouTube channel that's either big or small, whatever, I would love to help it out. If you want to put some time and energy into it, to be another avenue that people can come to for information. So if I have any people out there that's watching or might watch the replay of this, shoot me an email and let me know your YouTube channel. You must have a YouTube channel already up. And so I would like to see some of your video content. And if you have video content, if you talk about things like we talk about here, then it's a possibility we can probably collab and work together in some form of capacity that could be beneficial for both of us. So definitely want to reach out to anybody, give anybody opportunity if you have interest. So as always, definitely shoot me an email and go to rethinkingthedollar.com, top left of the corner of your email address, and we go from there. So this will be the last call for this evening. Then we're going to call it in. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It is Marcus.
Marcus
from Tennessee.
Marcus from Tennessee. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind this evening?
I'm good. I want to make you aware of something dealing with cryptocurrencies.
Okay, please do.
Actually, I sent you a link. It's CoinLab /Fiat.
Okay, in the chat.
And if you, I sent it in the chat. Okay. And when you go to it, it may say this is a virus or something, but it's not. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's 18 different government fiat currency. Mm-hmm. The United States is actually the number one, and it's actually right now it's like I think it's $14 trillion is sitting there, and a lot of people don't realize that the United States is already, has switched their dollar into a cryptocurrency. And so if you look it up, you actually see that. And you actually have a total of 18 on there. Different China, Russia, all of their currencies is sitting there waiting to be dispersed.
Okay. All right. You see this? I see it here. Okay. All right, good deal. I'll check into that. So yeah, I'll check into that, man. I appreciate you shining a light on that one. I got another article, a couple articles here people want to touch on. Well, definitely, I'll check into that. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I definitely want to get your opinion on it because I'm not good with talking on the phone, but I mean, this it's amazing what's going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah.
And if you can shine some light on that, I appreciate it.
I will. And so I won't get to it tonight because I'm about to wrap things up. So I don't want to add on. I'll try to keep it about 50 minutes or so. But I'll click on it. I'll read it, and I'll get back with you. So tomorrow night when I come back, if you tune in tomorrow night, we'll talk about it some more, and I'll definitely have an answer for you. Have my thoughts on it for you. So, but I appreciate you sharing that with me. Go ahead.
And another thing, I hear people talking about gold and silver and all of that.
Yeah.
It's a coin called DEW. DEW. And they can look it up in CoinMarketCap.
Yeah.
And on that platform, they already have put like Apple and a couple more stocks on there, and they also have gold on there. And it's pretty amazing. So I just want you to check that out, and
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for putting me up. Definitely, I appreciate you. Thanks for calling and shining some light on that stuff. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, have a good one. Yeah. yeah, man, that's real talk there. That's real talk. Appreciate you calling in and sharing links and whatnot. So I want to, let me see here. So I got a couple of articles here that was sent to me, of which it'll take more time rather. And so I'll probably save them for tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is basically cut it in right there. We had about 50 minutes. So I know the longer the videos, the more people tend to check in, check out. So I want to make sure the videos are entertaining and jam-packed with good content so people can stick around and get educated. So as always, people, it's been great hanging out this evening. If you have enjoyed the back and forth, and if you've enjoyed the callers that called in and sharing their thoughts, don't be afraid to give us a thumbs up. It always helps just to show your support that way. And if you want to take it a step further, I got some stuff over here you guys can take advantage of. More importantly, the Patreon. If anybody wants to support the channel on a consistent basis, feel free to do so with as little as $1 or $5 or whatever you think this channel is worth to you. I appreciate it. And all that information is down below. Other than that, we back tomorrow night, same time, same place. Don't go nowhere. Come back, tell a friend, bring somebody with you, and let's get engaged again, man. So I appreciate it. Everybody be safe, be blessed, stay prayed up. Peace.